Good morning, students. Hope you are fine. And today we are going to start one new chapter, that's from Unit 2, Chapter 3, Tissue Level of Organization. Right? So in the previous chapter we discussed about this classification of kingdom Animalia based on several characters. Right? Among this, the first one we said level of organization. Right? So there we discussed about cellular level of organization, tissue level of organization, organ level of organization, as well as organ system level of organization. Hope you remember everything, right? So in this chapter we are supposed to discuss regarding this second level, that is tissue level of organization. Okay, so in this chapter we will discuss what is tissue and what are the types of tissue and its shape, its function, its location, everything. So all these details we are supposed to discuss in this chapter, right? Okay. So today we are supposed to discuss regarding few contents. Among this, the first one is tissue. So first of all we have to know what is tissue, right? Then organ, then what is living fabrics, then organ system, then the last one is types of animal tissue, right? Let us go on one by one. Of course, the first one is tissue. So we are discussing about the tissue. So first of all we should know what is tissue, right? So here the definition is given for the tissue. The definition is group of cells that are similar in structure and perform common or related functions are called tissue, right? Do you get the point? Here the picture I displayed is one of the tissue, right? And there the group of cells are there. Can you watch? Around more than 10 cells are here. So we can see it's a group of cells and similar in structure. Its structure is same. Okay, and will perform this common function or same function or related function. Okay, so this kind of this group of cells are known as tissue. Okay, so this also one of this, either it will be asked as 2 mark or 3 mark question. Fine. And what do you mean organ? So we said group of cell is forming tissue, then group of tissue is forming an organ, right? Okay, so here one organ is given, right? And let us see the definition for what is organ, right? So tissues are organized in specific proportion and pattern to form organs like lungs, heart, etc. Understand? So here the tissues are organized in one specific proportion. The tissues are arranged or in one specific, one particular pattern or one proportion to do one function. So example we can say organs, for example, heart is one of the organ, lungs is one of the organ, kidney is one of those organ, bone is one of the organ, everything we can say, right? So that is organ. Here what is there? Group of tissue is organized, right? Okay. Next one, living fabrics. Okay, living fabrics. So what is living fabrics? So the same here. Tissues are organized in specific proportion and patterns to form organs like lungs and heart, etc. Hence, the tissues are called the living fabrics, right? So, these tissues are organized to form as organs. So, this organ is doing one specific function, right? So, that's why these tissues or organs are known as living fabrics, right? Okay. Then what do you mean organ system? So as we discussed already, the group of organs, if we formed together to do one specific function or similar function, we can say as organ system, right? So here one of this definition is given for organ system. Let us see. If two or more organs perform common physical and chemical functions are called organ system, right? Here more than two organs will be there and it will perform the similar function, either chemical function or physical function, are called organ system. So the figure I displayed here is one of this respiratory system. Okay, it is doing this breathing process. So in this system, what are the organs are there? The first, the long tube is known as a trachea. Then either side it consists of the lungs, and the lungs consist of this bronchi, and the branches of this trachea is known as bronchi, and the bronchi end with this air-like structure, air sacs-like structure known as alveoli. So these are all the organs are there in this respiratory system, right? It will do the common function. The function is breathing process. Understand? So that's why we are saying eyes as an organ system. So several organ system occur in this human beings or whatever organisms we can say, or higher organisms we can say. Understand? Okay. This is one of the term. The term is histology. Okay. So what is histology? The study of tissue is called histology. Is this definition? It will be asked as a 2-mark question. Okay. What is histology? The study of tissue is called histology. Fine. Then the next one, classification of animal tissue. So now we understood what is tissue, right? The group of cells. In animal, we are going to learn about this animal tissue, the tissues which is present in animal, right? So this also is various types of tissue is there. As per the structure or as per the function, it will be classified as various tissues, right? And now let us go on this classification of this animal tissue. So the animal tissue is overall classified as 4 types. These types are epithelial tissue, the second one connective tissue, and the third one muscular tissue, and the fourth one neural tissue, right? Epithelial tissue, connective tissue, muscular tissue, as well as neural tissue. Okay, let us see one simple figure for this each types. Okay. So classification of animal tissue, here I made as one flow chart. So the animal tissue is classified as 4 types. What are the 4? Epithelial tissue, connective tissue, muscular tissue, as well as nervous tissue. Okay. So the first one is epithelial tissue. Means actually this epithelial tissue is for a covering. This major function or this part where it is present is as is covering. So whatever organ we take, either it will be outer surface or in the innermost surface, there will be one covering, right? So this covering is made up of this tissue, right? And so this tissue is actually specifically we can call this as a epithelial tissue, or we can say as epidermis. Epidermal layer means outer covering. Okay, so the organs either outside or innermost region is covered with the covering. So those covering is made up of this epithelial tissue. Okay, so that's why the points which is given below that is regarding functions. It's for protection. So since it's the outer covering or inner covering, the major function we could say as a protection, right? Then absorption, secretion, sensory reception. So these are all its functions we can say. So this just one simple epithelial tissue is displayed as a second figure actually. Don't watch the first one. Second one is epithelial tissue. Okay. Second one is connective tissue. So you can understand from the word even. Connect means it is connecting the two regions. Okay. Either it may connect to tissues, or it may connect to organs, or it may connect to regions, right? So that's why it is named as even as a connective tissue. For example, one bone will be connected with another one bone by connective tissue, or the skin is connected with the muscle with the connective tissue. The muscle is connected with the bone with the connective tissue, right? So that type of this tissue is known as connective tissue, right? And since it is connecting these regions, its main function we can say as a supporting. If it is not connected, there won't be the support for the body, right? So it is giving the support to the body. Okay. Next, it is binding of organ. It is binding the organs, one organ to the next organ. Transport of substances. Since it is connecting the two region, of course one region to the next region, it is transporting the substances. And of course it is giving the immunity also, right? So later we can discuss elaborately about this each varieties. Fine. Okay. And the third one is muscular tissue. Of course we know muscles. There is three types of muscle is there: striated muscles, non-striated muscles, as well as cardiac muscles. Okay. So since this muscle is attached to the bones, we could do this work. We can do the locomotion or work, right? That's why it is mainly mentioned for this movement as well as for locomotion, right? Okay. And the last one is nervous tissue. Of course we know this structural and the functional unit of this nervous system is neuron. So the group of neurons we can see as nervous tissue. Okay. So especially it is present in this nervous system. Nervous system means we can say brain or spinal cord and nerves. Okay, these regions fully it is consist of this nervous tissue only, right? So that's why the function they mention is conduction of nerve impulses and coordinating the body function. Since it is the brain and this spinal cord and the nerves is there, surely we can say it is conducting this nerve impulses and it is useful to coordinate the body function also. Understand? And for each type the symbol figure is mentioned below that. And the first one is actually connective tissue, and the second one is epithelial tissue, third one is muscle tissue, and the fourth one is nervous tissue. Clear? Okay. Okay. So the first one, actually we said 4 types of this animal tissue. Do you remember? Epithelial tissue, connective tissue, muscular tissue, as well as neural tissue. Fine. So from this one by one we are going to say elaborately. Fine. Among this the first one is epithelial tissue. So already we said epithelial in the sense it is present in the covering regions, right? Covering or lining regions. Wherever there is a covering or lining is there, there will be the epithelial tissue, right? So this epithelial tissue also, as per the location or as per the shape, this epithelial tissue also will be classified. Okay, and as mainly 2 types. Mainly 2 types. So let us see what are the types of this epithelial tissue again, right? The first one is simple epithelial tissue. Simple epithelial tissue. And the second one is compound epithelial tissue. Okay. Okay, look at the first one, simple epithelial tissue. Here the word is simple, means these tissues consist of only the single layer of cells. Can you watch this figure? The cells are arranged in only in single layer. Understand? Okay. Then so if it is arranged in one single layer, that type of this tissue is known as simple epithelial tissue. Whereas in case of this compound epithelial tissue, can you watch this figure? Instead of one layer, here many layer is there, right? Many layers of cells are there. This also outer covering only, but the difference here, simple only single layer will be there, but here many layer will be there. The same cell type only, but the layer is menin layer. That's why this type of this epithelial tissue is known as compound epithelial tissue. Okay. So follow me. The first one, this animal tissue is divided as 4 types. Among that, the first one is epithelial tissue. Again, epithelial tissue is divided as 2 types. Among this, first one is simple epithelial tissue, and the second one is compound epithelial tissue. Okay. Then overall, this epithelial tissue's functions, as we said already in this previous figure, this is mainly for protection. So since it's the outer covering or innermost covering is there, its main function is protection. Absorption, of course, it is doing absorption function. Absorbing, if we take in case of the skin, of course it is absorbing the sunlight and all those things we can say, right? Then filtration, it's doing this filtration function. Then excretion function, secretion function, it is secreting, and moreover it is one of the sensory receptor also. It is receiving the sensory signals. For example, in case of skin, we can say it is one of the sense organ. So skin consists of this epithelial tissue only. Understand? Okay. And types of simple epithelial tissue. Types of simple epithelial tissue. So already epithelial tissue 2 types we said. One is simple epithelial tissue, another one is compound epithelial tissue, right? Among that, the first one is simple epithelial tissue. Again, it will be classified, okay, based on its structure. That's all. The same single layer only, but the shape alone little it changes, right? So as per that, the simple epithelial tissue will be classified as 5. Let us see what are the 5. The first one is squamous epithelial tissue. Second one, cuboidal epithelial tissue. Third one, columnar epithelial tissue. The fourth one, ciliated epithelial tissue. And the fifth one, pseudo-stratified epithelial tissue. Okay, this is the 5 types of this simple epithelial tissue. Okay, let us go on again one by one. First one is squamous epithelial tissue. Okay, squamous simple epithelial tissue. Okay, that also we can mean. So here, as we said, the layer is single layer only. Can you watch this figure? Actually, it's a 3D structure. Can you watch? Only one layer of cell is there. Okay, but here the shape is squamous, means it is a flat shape, flat irregular shape. That is squamous, right? So if we look at this figure here, the cell's shape is flat and it is irregular in shape, right? So that is known as a squamous epithelial tissue. Okay. Then wherever it is located, so first of all, it is located in the kidney glomeruli. So kidney, you know, right? Kidney, you know. So the figure I displayed here, the first figure is the kidney, right? And the kidney consists of the structural and the functional unit of the kidney is known as nephron. So the second figure is one nephron. Okay, millions of nephron is present in each kidney. So the second figure, only one nephron is displayed. Okay, and among this, the first one cup-like structure is marked in the red color, and there some tubule is there, red color tubule is there. That is known as actually glomeruli. Even it is marked there, glomerulus. Okay, so these glomerulus consist of this, simple squamous epithelial tissue. Okay. Then the next location is air sacs of lungs. So as we said already, the respiratory system, it consists of trachea, then bronchi, then it ends with the lungs. Inside the lungs, it consists of the air sacs or alveoli. So these alveoli, the surface of this alveoli consists of the cell simple squamous epithelial tissue. Understand? The group of cells called as tissue. Then the next location, it is present in the lining of the heart, outer covering of the heart. This consists of this tissue known as simple squamous epithelial tissue. And the next one is blood vessels. Of course, the heart, the blood vessels which is coming away from the heart and which is moving towards the heart. The lining of this blood vessels also consists of this tissue that is known as simple epithelial tissue. Okay. And this lymphatic vessels. Lymphatic vessel is nothing else. It's just branches which coming away from this blood vessels. It used to collect this blood vessels which is left from this actually major blood vessels. Okay. So this lymphatic vessel lining also, it is made up of this squamous epithelial tissue. Okay. And next one is regarding these functions. So what is its major functions for, especially for simple squamous epithelial tissue? So first function which we mentioned is generally about this epithelial tissue functions. Can you get me? So now especially we are going to see about this simple squamous epithelial tissue functions. So first we discussed about its location, then we are going to see about its functions. Especially this squamous epithelial tissue is doing this filtration function. So especially we can say filtration process takes place in the kidney. Already the same figure I displayed to notice where this squamous epithelial tissue is present. Now we can say it is doing the filtration function. Actually what filtration takes place here? So first figure is kidney. The second figure is one of this nephron, right? Nephron. What is its actual function? You know, this nephron is actually, it is receiving the blood in the kidney. Okay, it is receiving the blood. So when this blood come to this nephron, the blood may consist of this essential substances as well as non-essential substances like urea and uric acid. So these things should be eliminated from the body. Okay, it should be sent out from the body in the form of urine, right? So when it is coming to the nephron, actually only the waste substance alone don't come. It will come as a blood only. It will, this Bowman's capsule or this nephron is collecting this blood, right? Then from here the waste substances, whatever is should be eliminated, that substances plus along with some other substances, it is passing to the next region like a filtrate, like a filter. Understand? So first of all it will come to this nephron in the cup-like structure. From there, not all the substances, only the selected substances alone will be transferred to the next tubule. Can you watch the tube? Next tube, long tube is there. That's why they said it is doing the filtration function. Understand? So this is the major function of this squamous epithelial tissue, especially in the Bowman's capsule we can say, or nephrons. And diffusion boundaries, they said, how, what do you mean diffusion? The substances will transfer from higher concentration to the lower concentration, right? So that process is known as diffusion process. So here also, when this blood is moving from this cup-like structure Bowman's capsule to the next region, actually it will move from the higher concentration to the lower concentration. Okay, and through this squamous epithelial tissue. So that's why they said the squamous epithelial tissue is doing this filtration function. Understand? So hope we can quit this class here, and rest of these tissues we can see in the forthcoming classes. Fine. So now let us go on few assignments regarding today's topic. Fine. So the first question is, what is tissue? Right? So the tissue definition is given. Please note it down in your notebook and try to learn. right? And why tissues are known as a living fabrics? Okay. Then the third question is, what is our define histology? Okay. Then list out the types of animal tissue. Okay. And the last one, mention the functions of epithelial tissue. Functions of epithelial tissue means you got to write the general functions of epithelial tissue. And if they are specifically about the squamous epithelial tissue, you got to write about this specific function. Squamous also epithelial tissue only, but if they mention only this squamous epithelial tissue function, you got to specifically mention that one also. Understand? So hope you will learn this contents, today's contents well. Please watch all these videos and keep in touch with this classes and try to learn everything. And please be safe at home and pray very well. Right? Thank you. Thank you, students.